All right. Well, here we go. Another day, another dollar. I'm on my way to work. So, yesterday I was having kind of a moment, pity party, dealing with this depression that I've had. And, I decided, you know what? You got to change this. You can't just sit there. You can't live there. That's not acceptable. So, I decided rather than just living in depression, at lunch I grabbed my camera and I went on a photo walk, put some headphones in, and I decided to go out and just take some pictures during my lunch instead of sitting in the break room, doing nothing, listening to a podcast or whatever. And it was awesome. I'm not gonna lie. It was really good, and I felt healthy about doing that. And it got me thinking a little bit. And then of course I got home and I go right back into the same old routine. I didn't do anything. I've got so many things around the house, around the yard. I mean, there's just 100 projects that need to be done, and I just wasn't doing any of those. And like I've said before, it kind of compounds on itself. When you don't do things that you should be doing, it starts weighing on you. I mean, it gets depressing, and it builds on that failure mindset. And so I decided, you gotta take action at some point. There's only one way out of it, and that's to move forward and start doing something. It doesn't matter how much or how little, you gotta actually do something to change. So, of course, best laid plans and all, I started thinking, tonight I'm gonna mow the lawn. I'm gonna get the weed eater out. I'm gonna start, just tackling things, just one thing at a time. And this morning I woke up. Our air conditioning is broken right now. Okay, so it was 90 degrees in the friggin' house last night. 90 degrees. Yeah, it sucked. It was hot as hell, and it's been broken for a while, but one thing after another comes up that we've had to pay for lately, like so many things. My mother-in-law is dealing with cancer. It's just an on and on type of deal. And everything just comes in, and, as soon as we get money, something comes in and we got to pay for it. And that's life, man. That's just the way life works. But sometimes life seems to hit a little harder than other times. And so now, we got to get that air conditioning fixed, and it's 90 degrees in the house, and it was a rough sleep. I'm not gonna lie, I was sweating, that kind of deal. And I woke up at probably 4:15 this morning. I set my alarm for 4:30 every morning. Even when I wasn't exercising, I set my alarm for 4:30. I've trained myself to do that, and try to take advantage of that time. And this morning I woke up at 4:15 before the alarm even goes off, and I get up, and of course that little voice in the back of my head says, you know what, you need to go do something, anything. Take a walk, maybe you'll run, push-ups, something. And of course I start negotiating with myself. I don't want to go because, again, 4:30 in the morning, I'm tired, I did not sleep good, and I kind of just stood there, and of course that conviction says, you just talked about making changes and taking those little steps, and this is one of those steps, okay? So I grabbed my shoes, I grabbed my headphones. I'm like, you know what? We're going to do this. I'll just walk a couple miles. It'll be something. At least it's something. And you know what? I ran the whole thing. I ran 2 miles. On the sidewalk, I dropped down and did 25 push-ups. Not much, no big deal, but it was just something that I said, you know what? You got to do something, and this is action. And so I did it, and I was very proud of myself. It felt really good to actually take action. And then I sat outside in the backyard with the dogs and watched the sun come up, and it was really, really nice. I'm not gonna lie, I felt super good about that, and I felt inspired. And another one of my albums just dropped on Spotify, so now I've got 4 albums out there, which I'm extremely happy about. And I listened to that, and it felt good. That felt good. And then tonight, you know what? I'm going to get home, and I've already planned it. I'm going to take some action. I'm going to mow that lawn. And, you know, when we get those rains, it grows quick. So I got to mow that lawn. And again, just taking some steps to move forward, because you know what, you can say, you know, I'm dealing with depression and life sucks and life's hard, and you know, one of my coworkers just put in their notice, and they have a huge role at work, and I know that without her being there, work is going to get way more complicated. And I get it. That's, you know, people got to do what they got to do, but it's just one of those things where you're just like, man, there's a lot going on, and you know, health issues and whatnot, but you can't just stay in that depression. You know, you got to fight it, because it will take over, and time goes by quick. Whether you're doing something or you're not doing something, time goes by quick, and you find yourself at the back end of a month or 2 months or 6 months or a year, and you're not exercising, and you gain weight, and you know, that depression just keeps growing, you know, like a looming cloud, you know, and it'll defeat you if you're not careful. But you can't let that happen. You just can't. And it's up to you, you know, like, choices are ours. Like, you get to choose every single day when you wake up. What are you going to do? I mean, I'm not going to say life is going to get easier, but your attitude can get better, and your choices can get better. So all the things that you didn't do before, start doing something, anything, you know, take that little step. Take that little step and move forward. You'll thank yourself for it, you know? So I feel inspired. I definitely feel inspired. It's Tuesday. It's going to be a great day. You know, it's another day at work. It's the same old thing. You know, I've got all kinds of projects I'm editing and going through footage, and I have to remind myself, you know, it's funny. My job, I do photo and video for a living, all right? And my job is for photographers or people who do video, I have a dream job, okay? Most photographers in this city would love to have my job. It pays good. I literally do photo and video for a living. So when I'm not out shooting something on my own schedule, I'm editing. Okay, so I'm either editing photos or videos, and I do more video than I do photos, but I get to do the fun stuff. Okay, I get to work with, and I'm directing myself on this stuff. So yes, I get feedback, and I submit it to my coworkers, you know, and they let me know what they would like to add or remove, etc. You know, but you know, it's commercial. But you know, the truth is, I get to do something that I love to do, and I'm extremely proud of that. And I get to make good money. So, you know, I would kill for this job. Several years ago, the fact that I get paid to do what I love to do, and I don't have to hustle. I'm not out there hustling, you know. I mean, for years I was self-employed in LA and Vegas, Seattle, you know, getting gigs, and I was living off of those gigs, and that's good too, don't get me wrong. That has so many perks to it. But you're always hustling and trying to get that next gig, and the business is so much bigger and more important than the art, side of it, because you have to market yourself. You have to do things you don't feel like doing constantly. It's not just about doing art and, you know, being an artist. It's more, you know, being a slave to the grind. You know, it's a job. But, you know, and as somebody who, I avoid people sometimes. I mean, I've learned to fake it really, really well, especially when I have a camera in my hand. You know, nobody has any idea that I actually don't like being around people all the time. I don't like going up to people, strangers, you know, taking photos, doing video. But I've trained myself to go into work mode, and, you know, I become Lloyd Rosen, and nobody has a clue that I go through that. Or I have anxiety before each shoot. You know, people don't know that because I fake it really well. And whenever I've told people that, they're super surprised because I don't come across as that person. But it's the truth, and I've had to work really hard to change that. But I'm very proud of myself for how far I've come in that regard. But yeah, anyway, I have a dream job, so I really have nothing to complain about. But it's funny, when you work a job long enough, it becomes a job, and you go into routine mode, and you just start automatically doing things. And all right, hold on, I gotta get my coffee here. Okay. Always got to get my iced coffee. It's delicious.
Panera, this is Carol. How may I help you?
I just want to get a large iced coffee with a little half and half, please.
All right, Lloyd, I'll have it at the window for you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That's Carol. She knows me. I've come here so many times that she just remembers my information. Pretty awesome. My wife always goes, "How's Carol?" I have no idea. It's hilarious. Okay, hold on. I could pause the video, but who cares, right? Who cares? This is day 2 of me working through it all, guys. Day 2.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you. All right. We're off. Got my coffee, which obviously I probably don't need as much coffee as I drink, but I do enjoy coffee. I'm not gonna lie. Something about it that's very delicious. The homeless people in this area are crazy. They just wander out in the street like they don't know where they're at. You wouldn't think there'd be as many homeless people as there are around here, but there are plenty. So, yeah, at any rate, again, you know, I'm doing these videos because A, it's such good practice for me to talk to the camera. You know, I was thinking about what would my dream be, and you know, so essentially what happened, and you know, for those who don't know my story, is, you know, God, 30 years ago, I was living in Los Angeles, and I've always been an artist, and I bought a camera because as an artist, I'm impatient, and I love the creative process, right? But I discovered, you know, they just came out with digital cameras, Oh, hold on, I gotta take this. Alright, and I'm back. My wife called, she woke up and our daughter was Cobra Kai-ing her to get her to wake up. Seraphina's only 6, but she's hilarious. We've been watching Cobra Kai, the karate show. Love that show so much. And Seraphina's doing Cobra Kai now. Oh man, that reminds me. I was just talking yesterday about getting my heavy bag back out and starting to hit the heavy bag again. I love it so much. In fact, I was talking to my wife yesterday about maybe trying to join a boxing gym. I like to spar and get out there. But who knows? One thing at a time, man. That's one thing that I'm guilty of, is thinking too big, too ambitious, and there's nothing wrong with that, obviously, but when you're trying to crawl out of a funk and you take on too much and you set your goals too high, or you start off running too fast, you're going to burn yourself out, you're going to wear yourself out, and it's not sustainable, and unfortunately that is super common, with people that are trying to start a program or get back into it, or whatever the case may be. They get too ambitious. I mean, you hear it all the time when people start going to the gym, like, I joined a gym, and of course, what do? They think, oh, I need to go to a gym and work out. So they go and they work out super hard, way harder than they need to. But what they don't realize is you can't sustain that because your body's not used to it. You didn't work into it. And you're going to be so sore, even if you go back again, you're not going to last very long. And and not to mention, it's going to be an unpleasant feeling. So that negative feeling connects with going to the gym, which connects with, I don't want to go back. And and I'm guilty of that. You start out too fast, you get too excited, and it's just not sustainable. So I've learned the hard way that you gotta rein it back, and you gotta go in slower. And if you can do that, do a lot less than you think you can, you'll find that you'll keep coming back. And you can work yourself into a routine that's much more sustainable, and you'll go a lot farther. I used to struggle a long time ago. a year or two ago, before some of the surgeries. I would go out running, and I got to a point where I was running, pretty consistently. But I wasn't running at the speeds that I wanted to run, the pace that I wanted to run, etc. And I wanted to learn how to go at a faster pace. And, looking online, researching, people were saying, you got to learn how to run slower to learn how to run faster. So if you can get out there and do slower runs, and then do faster runs, change it up a little bit, because your body will adapt and your body will kind of go to where you push it to go. But if you try to do too much, you're overdoing it. If you stop doing it, obviously your body can't adjust. So, you have to kind of build up slowly over time, and you can really increase your pace that way. And it actually worked. I tried it. I would go out and purposefully go slower on slower runs. And, you see it with marathon training. You want to go out and on some faster runs, some tempo runs, some slower runs. I was doing some fartleks, where, you'll run and then stop, walk, run, stop, go fast, go slow, go fast, go slow. Change it up, and your body will start adapting quicker. But at any rate, I'm no expert on any of these things. These are just things that I try. That's one thing that I gotta say. At least I go out and experiment and I try to do things, because a lot of people talk about things and they don't start. They never do it. They never start. Or they do it once and they go full bore and they never go back. I mean, I gotta say, at least throughout my lifetime, I put my hands to things. No matter where I'm at in my life, I at least try things. Like, I trained myself to get up at 4:30 in the morning, and I'm not a morning person. Well, actually, I can probably say I am a morning person now, but I did not used to be, not even sort of bit. I used to be the person that when my alarm would go off before work, a half hour before I'm supposed to leave, I'd hit that snooze button and hit that snooze button, and going back to sleep was like solid gold. And I decided I didn't want to do that. I decided I want to be one of those people that get up at 5 in the morning. And so I started setting an alarm for 5, and it was tough at first, but I made myself get up at 5, and I made myself exercise. And then that 5 became, well, you know what? You're already getting up at 5. Why don't you try 4:30? So then I started getting up at 4:30. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, I was consistently waking up. And I pretty much still do before the alarm goes off. Like, the alarm rarely wakes me up. I'm usually wake up before that alarm goes off. And I never hit snooze unless I'm that tired and I accidentally do it. But I never do it on purpose. I never hit snooze. I automatically get up and I get straight out of bed. I have my stuff, whatever it is that I'm doing the next morning, whether it's running or working out, whatever the kind of workout might be, I already know what the plan is, and I don't give my brain any time to negotiate. I grab my stuff and I go, because I know that negotiation is a killer. And I've seen it with this depression thing, man. Like, if you allow yourself to go, maybe I shouldn't go today, or I'm a little too tired, I'm a little too sore, whatever the thing is, next thing you know, you're not going at all. Because it's really easy to not go, because let's face it, it's not that fun. When you don't feel good, when you're tired, when your feet hurt, when your legs hurt, whatever it is, or your health problems, the excuses are easy. It's easy to listen to yourself, tell yourself, don't do it. I don't want to do it. And next thing you know, you don't do it. And that's why so many people never exercise, because that voice is so strong for them. And it's easy to say, I don't want to, and just don't. But if you want something different in your life, you got to do different things. People look at athletes or entertainers or celebrities, people in the movies or whatnot, and people say, oh, I want to be like them, I want to be like this, I want to have a body like that, or talent like that, or play the guitar like that, or whatever it is that you're idolizing. You look on Instagram or Facebook or wherever, and YouTube, and you're like, I want to be like those people. Well, the reality is, in order to be anything remotely like those people, you have to be willing to do what they do. Like the people with super successful YouTube channels, I guarantee it's not a one and done type deal. It's a constant, they're working. They're always filming. They're always, editing. They're always creating and changing and trying to figure out better ways to do things. And if you're not willing to do that, it's highly unlikely that you're going to have any success. And you certainly won't be like them, because people who are successful don't usually get there by accident. It's just not the way it works. Success comes from repeated action over and over and over and over. You have to, wake up and decide who's the person that you're going to be. You gotta throw a vote in for the kind of person that you're going to be over and over and over. Are you the kind of person that tries? Even if you fail, you just try again and again and again, and you keep coming back for more? Or are you the kind of person that just says, this is too hard and I can't do it? And so you have to decide, who is that? Who is that person? Who's that person inside you? And I think, unfortunately, that's where I arrived recently. I just kind of stopped doing things and I was giving into the depression. Now, don't get me wrong. Even in a depression, I was still creating albums. I was still creating art and working on things. I mean, I'm always doing something. It's rare that I don't do anything. But I wasn't doing the things that I wanted to do. Namely, exercise. I don't care what it is that you like to do in your life. One thing that I have found, exercise is so crucial for your mental well-being, for your physical well-being. Exercise is just such a huge component to the mental battle. If you're not exercising, you're going to struggle. That's all there is to it. Even if your body is in rough shape, or you're out of shape, or you physically have a hard time doing whatever it is, or you're older, there's always some way to physically do something. And I'm telling you, mentally, it clears those cobwebs in your brain. It helps you create. It helps you think. Even if it's a walk, I don't care what kind of exercise it is. It helps clear out those cobwebs, and it helps make way for creativity, for dreams, for ambition, for joy. It helps you have a better day. It's pretty amazing, honestly. I would say, regardless of your goal, maybe you want to be a photographer, maybe you want to be a successful business person. Well, exercise is just so important. And I tell you right now, it is the key to depression. If you have depressive thoughts, like if you are suffering from depression, exercise can help alleviate that in such a profound way. If you're willing to try, Now, I'm not saying you have to go gangbusters on anything, but if you start doing little things, you take a little walk at lunch, stretching. I mean, standing up, if you sit at a desk, stand up every so often, stretch, take a little walk. These things are just really important. And I mean, some people underestimate how important that is because they feel like that's not relevant to what they need. Maybe you're overweight, maybe, whatever it is that you're struggling with. It's a profound thing. So I highly encourage exercise for anybody. And this is a good reminder too. Now, that's another reason why I'm enjoying, like I said, this is only day 2, but this is another reason why I like to video journal, vlog, because I'm clearing the cobwebs in my brain. I'm helping myself with that depression. I'm reminding myself of the dreams that I have. I'm reminding myself how important exercise is, and goals and visions and creating art, because these are things that are important to me, but sometimes you get lost in the daily grind or the problems that you're suffering from or dealing with at home or at work. And we all have something we're dealing with, right? I mean, nobody's life is perfect. And some lives are much more difficult than others, it seems. But with social media, sometimes it feels like everybody else is doing so well and we're the only ones struggling with things, and that's just not true. That sadly, we start following people that seem to be doing better than we are because obviously we're looking for inspiration, or it clicks that button like, I wish I was them, I want to be them. And so we start surrounding ourselves with people that seem to be just kicking ass in life, and the algorithm all of a sudden starts serving up all these people that are kicking ass. So we all of a sudden feel like, my God, everybody out there is so much better than me. But sadly, the reality is just not like that. that's a fake world that the algorithm is serving us, you know. So keep in mind that the real world is just normal people trying to live life and doing the best they can, and I am among those people. I struggle just like everybody else, if not more than some, and I'm still thankful though. That's one thing I try to say every single day. I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I woke up today, that I'm able to get up day after day and keep doing this thing and trying to find the beauty and the wonder in life and the joy in life. And I encourage people, you know, regardless of how hard it is in your life, try to find something that you're thankful for and focus on it, because it's just important to change that mindset and realize that we've got a lot to be thankful for. I don't care who you are, you still have a lot to be thankful for. Just the fact that you're breathing right now, you're able to watch a YouTube video is huge. So, you know what? On that note, I'm almost to work, and I appreciate anybody who's watched. And if you did get anything out of it, or you didn't get anything out of it, even if you just watched it this far, you know, I appreciate you. I appreciate that you're there. Let me know. It'd be nice if I knew somebody was watching. But honestly, at the same time, it's not important. It's important that I keep going and keep trying, and life is good, man. All right, well, have a great Tuesday, and you know, I hope you do something you enjoy today at some point. All right, see ya.